I'm here outside of Othello, Washington, along Potholes Canal, and looking at this white, muddy, clay-rich unit in the Ringold Formation that's overlain by some flood deposits and then a plow pan. You know, it's real. It comes apart, but it only comes apart along fractures. If you really want to break it up, it's a little more work, but it just falls apart along all these vertical fractures. It's just vertically fractured to beat the band. So the interesting thing to me here is not particularly the sediment, but these Clastic Dikes. They're rubble filled and sandy, and they have lots of broken bits of this stuff in them. They're never more than about 2 inches wide, and there are hundreds of them in this stuff, just in this exposure that goes, a couple hundred meters at the most. We're right on the edge of Crab Creek. We're low in the landscape, and this part of the world was overrun by mega floods many times. There's a dike, there's one, there's one, there's one. Here's a wider one. That's one of the largest down here. And then here's one. You can see that's maybe 4 or 5 centimeters at the most. So all along, I mean, there's little fracture fills. The fills are just slightly darker, and they contain rubbly material that looks just ripped up from the host. Here's another one. This is actually 2 dikes, about 1 inch wide, and there's a little separation between, but let's trace these up. So this one you can follow up here, and then it dies out right there. And above that is a pinkish, buff-colored, slightly cemented and nodular. There's cicada burrows in here, but there's also pebbles in here. So it's kind of a less diamect that's been overprinted by cicada burrows. And so that dike dies out at the bottom of that, and the other one kind of bifurcates here, and then we follow it up to right there, and that's at the base of this sort of reddish siltier, silt pebble diamect. So it dies out there too. Little browner, maybe 3/4 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch wide, couple centimeters. And if you trace it up, you can follow it to right there, and it's just truncated by this plow pan above. You can see these little rip-ups. These little white rip-ups are this stuff. You can take this down, and it thins here, and it's about 1 centimeter thick right there. And then as I take it, it's about 1/2 centimeter here, and it just sort of dies out right there. There's no, it's gone here, it's gone here. So I don't see an offset part. I think this just comes down and pinches out right there. Sometimes you see some cryptic sheeting in it, and I don't actually think those are different fill bands. I think that's just more fracturing, just like this whole outcrop is just vertically fractured everywhere, every part of it. So I think these dikes are just feeling that, which makes me wonder how old these structures are. If the dikes are fills along pre-existing fractures, and they themselves are fractured, this material is Pliocene. And so, yeah, you have a hard time pinning this on flood forces or ice age flood forces. So I don't know if these are mega flood caused deformation. These structures is related directly to flood loading, but it's a curious association. They may be actually quite a bit older. These may be Pliocene in age. Tough to tell where they terminate because they're just cut off at their tops by this younger deposit, which is flood-laid deposits, but it's sort of mixed here with a plow pan from that road. But there are certainly deposits here, and not just colluvium and reworked stuff from humans. So, Pliocene clastic dikes, likely Pliocene age. You know, clastic dikes are so common around the world in any sort of fine-grained sediment. It's not like clastic dikes are exclusive to mega flood regions at all. And you would expect to find in the Ringold clastic dikes small ones, somewhat insignificant ones, sort of accessory features. But, you know, here they are in flood country, and you have to at least test the hypothesis. Interesting little clastic dikes, not sheeted, not like tushy bed dikes. They don't appear to have a silt skin wall, although there is a little bit of cementation that seems to be a little bit of action along that dike wall. A little bit of cementation, but boy, I'm not sure it's any more than the host material. Anyway, a cool set of dikes, very different than what you find typically in flood country, and in a unit that you don't see a whole lot of deformation, soft sediment deformation for sure, and not a whole lot of clastic dikes. That is the Ringold Formation. So anyway, clastic dikes along Potholes Canal, near lovely, bustling, influential Othello.